Prophecies, legends, and long-told tales are a common theme throughout the Legend of Zelda series. The story of how not just Hyrule, but the lands as a whole were created by the three golden goddesses, legends of a past hero in a time in which a hero was needed, and even certain individuals having the ability to foresee future events. The iconic fantasy adventure series is filled to the brim with lore, stories, and get this, legends. Who would have thought? And largely at the center of all of this is the hero themselves, Zelda. Oh, this isn't Zelda? Sorry, I just thought because of the title. Zelda! The princess who carries the blood of the goddess, and whilst not always being present for much of the game, she often plays a huge role in the story, and a great example of this is her involvement in Breath of the Wild. Prior to the events of the game, she is the one who faces the catastrophe of Hyrule, Calamity Ganon, and holds the monster back for 100 years sealed within Hyrule Castle. But was this event foreseen? Well, today, my friends, we are going to be taking a look at a possible dream that foretold everything, but also nothing. And speaking of dreams, if you didn't know, I recently started a second channel for uploading relaxing Zelda cinematics to study, chill, and you guessed it, sleep to. Links in the description if you're interested. But now, be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink to enjoy the video with, and send them in on social media to get featured right here, and let's take a look at the dream that could have stopped the nightmare of Calamity Ganon. To provide a little bit of backstory going into this theory, we need to take a look at Princess Zelda and her mental side leading up to the calamity. We know from both in-game cutscenes, memories, and stories that Princess Zelda was put under an astronomical amount of pressure by her father. One that was seen as necessary, however, her training in order to unlock her sacred powers. The signs of Calamity Ganon's resurrection were showing, the kingdom was on alert, and everyone was stressed. I really feel you. Princess Zelda had a fascination with the Sheikah technology, whilst her father forbade such an interest and demanded her to focus on her training. During this time frame, Zelda wrote many of her day-to-day feelings in her diary, an escape almost, a book that we can find in the wreckage of Hyrule Castle 100 years later, and within this book we can discover that Princess Zelda likes fanfiction. Me too, girl. That not long before the time frame of Calamity Ganon rising from the castle, the princess wrote this.
I had a dream last night. In a place consumed by darkness, a lone woman gazed at me, haloed by blinding light. I sensed she was not of this world. I don't know if she was a fairy or a goddess, but she was beautiful. Her lips spoke urgently, but her voice did not reach me. Would I have heard her if my power was awoken? Or was my dream simply a manifestation of my fears? I'm sure I will know the answer soon, whether I wish to or not.
This has been theorized and speculated on before, with the majority of belief going towards this being a dream about Zelda's late mother. I mean, it does meet the description, right? A lone woman with a blinding light, referring to her ability to train Zelda to find her own powers. Described as a fairy or goddess, both sacred beings. Her voice did not reach her, referring to her mother's death and not being able to help her with training. And also touching on her fears, the fear of not unlocking her powers due to not reaching this woman in her dreams. It does match up well, but it also matches with something else. The events of sealing Calamity Ganon. A place consumed by darkness, Hyrule Castle. A lone woman gazing, Princess Zelda facing the beast alone, haloed by blinding light. The sealing ability, Princess Zelda. Something about her being not of this world, possibly a fairy or goddess. Zelda carries the blood of the goddess, and a manifestation of her fears, losing Hyrule. This also matches up and could make so much sense. But if Zelda had dreamt of this, why didn't she say something or describe her dream to anyone, rather than just writing it down in her diary? Well, firstly, we do need to understand that this particular dream appeared to be one of a clouded vision. The ending line of her entry is arguably the most interesting part. I am sure I will know the answer soon, whether I wish to or not. This tells us that the dream perhaps unsettled the princess. Surely if it was her mother, knowing that or not, there wouldn't be a feeling of unrest there, and she was correct. Zelda did eventually find out the answer, but obviously wouldn't have wanted this to happen, hinted at previously with that whether I wish to or not. Now, whilst this is subjective, as that quote could still be about her mother in the sense of not wishing to know as she had already lost her, seeing her now past mother could cause potential fear or confusion. But where am I going with all of this? Well, I want to answer the question of, was this dream actually a prediction of her soon to come sealing and holding of Calamity Ganon at Hyrule Castle? As I mentioned earlier, this dream has always been believed to be about her mother, and now that we know a good amount of backstory, allow me to explain why I believe that this dream was 100% about the sealing of Calamity Ganon. But first, we must rewind 23 years in time back to the days of Ocarina of Time. Well, more the events of that game. You see, at the beginning of this game, this amazing game, Princess Zelda has a dream in which she is visualizing the King of Evil, Ganondorf. Upon meeting Link, she tells him,
I was spying through this window just now. The other element from my dream, the dark clouds, I believe they symbolize that man in there. Will you look through the window at him? I told my father about my dream. However, he didn't believe it was a prophecy, but I can sense that man's evil intentions.
That right there. She couldn't see Ganondorf himself, but rather an element, a feeling, unsettlement,
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
The point being, she couldn't see Ganondorf visually, but the moment she could see him in person, the pieces of the puzzle aligned, and it clicked in her head that this is the evil that had been plaguing her dreams. Oh, and it's important to know that this princess does of course carry the blood of the goddess. Sound familiar? Well, Princess Zelda in Breath of the Wild carries the blood of the goddess. She had a dream in which most of it was a blurred mess, and following both occurrences, evil consumed the land. This isn't the only example of the princess who carries the blood of the goddess possessing an ability like this, an ability known as foresight, the ability to predict what will happen or be needed in the future. Now, I know I've recently been referencing Star Wars a fair bit, but this is almost similar to the ability of foresight in that universe. For example, one of, if not the best Jedi of all time, Master Yoda, can often see what will happen, but with a clouded view, an idea of what is to come, but not a clear-cut scenario. This is how the one of the blood of the goddess's foresight works. Another example can be found in the epilogue to Skyward Sword, when Zelda tells Link that she had always dreamt about the surface and wanting to live there, and what do you know, that exact thing happens. Perhaps that one was just a dream though, but it could have also been a case of foresight, as this was the very first reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. So it is clear that any princess of the royal family carrying the blood of the goddess must carry this ability. It has happened multiple times over the course of tens of thousands of years, but if this is true and Zelda did foresee an evil coming to the land, regardless of if she could tell exactly what it was, why did she remain silent? Obviously she couldn't paint an exact picture, but like in Ocarina of Time, she could still feel the presence of evil coming, so why prior to the events of Breath of the Wild did she not say literally anything to anyone? Well, remember earlier when I said that this dream has always been believed to be by fans a dream about Zelda's mother? Well, what if I told you that this is what Zelda thought it may be? She was clearly still mourning the loss of her mother at this point in time, struggling with her training without her mother, her mentor. The loss of this key figure in her life still haunts her, and when she foresaw the events of Calamity Ganon, her vision was clouded by the loss of her mother, the one person that she believed she needed by her side in order to unlock her sealing powers. Princess Zelda foresaw the calamity, but mistook the dream for her mother's untaught guidance. Both descriptions work, and do you wonder why they both work? Because they are both true. The blinding light, a reference to both Zelda being taught her powers with her mother's assistance, but also Zelda using them to hold back Calamity Ganon. The place consumed by darkness, referring to both the loss of her mother and the state of Hyrule amidst Calamity Ganon's resurgence. Something not of this world, being both her mother being present, but also the monster that is Calamity Ganon, a beast unlike any other. Zelda foresaw everything. Her vision was clouded. Thanks a ton for watching, I really hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a like as it helps out the channel in unimaginable ways, and consider subscribing for more Zelda content. What do you think of this theory? Was Zelda's dream actually her first seeing the calamity, but just not knowing it? Leave a comment below with your thoughts and look out for my replies. A massive appreciative thank you goes out to my channel supporters across both YouTube and Patreon. Your support is what helps to bring in these videos week in, week out, and I cannot thank you enough. And special mention to new supporter Doza89, and an apologetic re-thank you to Twilight Wilfo, as I accidentally removed you from the list, but you actually just switched from Patreon to YouTube. Sorry about that, and thanks for the support. If you'd like to join them and get your name featured at the end of every video and more, then consider supporting via Patreon or YouTube. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.